Welcome to CrystalMaker 11. In this tutorial, we'll explore the redesigned Planes Inspector, introduced in CrystalMaker 11.5. This lets you manage multiple planes slicing through your structure, and now includes the option of symmetry grouping and shape display. Let's start with a simple cubic structure such as diamond. For clarity, we'll hide all the atoms to show an empty unit cell. We'll do this using the Atoms Inspector. Turn off the checkbox for the carbon atoms. We're now ready to add some planes, so we'll navigate to the Planes Inspector by clicking its tab. The inspector comprises a list area, currently empty, and a bottom bar with a series of commands for working with planes. We can add a new plane by using the Add button in the bottom left-hand corner, or simply by double-clicking in the list area. This brings up a dialog letting us enter a set of Miller indices for our new plane. Note that we also have the option of adding symmetry-related planes. This is going to be incredibly useful when defining crystal shapes. We'll look at that in a later tutorial, but for now we'll just add a single plane with the default indices 1, 1, 1. We now have a red plane slicing through the center of our structure. Let's see what we can do with it. Looking at the Planes Inspector, we have, from left to right, our Miller indices, then an icon which lets us toggle between a single plane as displayed and a set of planes. Moving on, we have a color button with a series of presets. Let's choose magenta for our plane, and it also has a transparency slider. Let's go to about 50%. Next along is a position slider that lets me move my lattice plane along its plane normal from one end of the plot range to the other. Mac users can use this very precisely by positioning the mouse over the slider and then sliding 2 fingers horizontally across their magic trackpads. Gives you very fine control. You can use this drop-down menu to specify one of 2 preset positions. The first preset corresponds to the first intercepts along the crystallographic axes as defined by the Miller indices. So for this 1, 1, 1 plane, the intercepts would be A over 1, B over 1, C over 1, and that's what's shown. The second preset moves the plane to the center of our plot range. And we can also specify what distance units should be shown. These could either be the fraction of the plane normal, so +1 through 0 at the center of the plot range to -1, or we can use absolute units in angstroms, measured from the plane center, -3.1 all the way through to +3.1 angstroms for this structure. Finally, on the right hand side, we have a checkbox to toggle the visibility of the plane. Let's move the plane back to the center by typing a value in its position box. 0, return. Now I would like to add a second plane, parallel to the first one. Now I could just add an entirely new plane, but it's easier just to duplicate the existing one. So one needs to select the row. It's already selected. If it's not selected, click in a blank area of the row to select it. Then use the Actions menu down here, which has a duplicate command. And here's our second plane on top of the first one. Let's change its color. Let's go for a dark green color. And let's move it away from the first plane by dragging its slider. We can use this pair of planes to define a slab in our crystal structure. To do that, we need to see some atoms. So let's make those atoms visible again by going to the Atoms Inspector and turning on the carbon checkbox. And we're going to expand our plot range slightly to show more carbons at the edges. So I'm going to use the range button in the toolbar, and let's expand the range a little bit to get some more carbons. Now, in order to define a slab, we need to orient our planes very precisely, and it would help if we can see them sideways on. Now we can try rotating the structure by hand to do that, but there's a command for that, and it's very easy to use. We go to the Planes Inspector, we select a plane, and we go to the View pop-up, and we can do View Horizontal, and here are our planes sideways on. Now I would like to emphasize one layer of carbon atoms in the structure, and I'm going to use my planes to do that. I'm going to move one plane above some carbons, maybe about here, and I'm going to move the other plane so it's just below and defines a little sandwich. Now we want to isolate these atoms that lie between the pair of planes. And we can do that by going down to the View menu again, the View button, and we will do Slice with Planes. Now this command is also available on the Transform menu, Slice with Planes. Here we can see a rippled layer of bonded carbon atoms in the diamond structure. And we'll make this clearer by hiding the planes. Let's just uncheck their visibilities. This arrangement of carbons differs from the flat hexagonal layout observed in graphite, the other polymorph of carbon, and reflects differences in bonding. Tetrahedrally opposed sp3 bonds in diamond and trigonally opposed sp2 bonds in graphite. Both arrangements appear hexagonal, but the diamond one is a rippled layout. So that was a brief introduction to our new Planes Inspector, an easy and elegant way to work with multiple sets of planes in your structure. Please watch our next few videos to learn about adding symmetry related planes and defining crystal shapes.